What's going on, everybody? Mortem here, this time bringing you 5 games you can still look forward to in 2022. Now, as I'm sure a lot of people are aware, the release schedule for games in the last few months of 2022 is a bit on the light side, as a great many games, due to obvious things happening in the real world, have been delayed to 2023. But with that in mind, I thought I would share 5 games that I'm personally still looking forward to this year, with a couple qualifiers. One, these are brand new games that are seeing their full release for the first time, so I'm not including things that have already been released and are now just releasing onto new platforms. For instance, I love Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous, and it's coming to consoles at the end of September, but it's a game that I love and I've beaten to death already, so obviously it coming to consoles doesn't mean a lot to me personally, outside of just being happy that more people get to experience it. Also, I mostly tried to keep this to games that actually have a release date. There are still a few games slated for 2022 that just don't have release dates yet, but we're getting to the point now where I'm honestly just expecting most of those to be delayed. For instance, 2 games that I was looking forward to this year, Broken Roads and Dark Envoy, have officially updated their Steam page to reflect that they're releasing in 2023 now, which is why I'm trying not to include, with the exception of one game, games that don't have an actual full release date. But with no further ado, let's actually jump into this thing and talk about some games. So first up on our list, we have Steelrising. This is a game from Spiders, and it is their stab at a Souls-like in which we will see an alternative history French Revolution, and in this world there will be automatons and a lot of steampunk-esque things going on, which overall very, very cool aesthetic, and Spiders is behind a lot of great AA games. For instance, Greedfall was made by them, so I'm excited to see what they can do with a bit of a new genre for them, as they've primarily stuck to RPGs up to this point. Now, second on our list, hopefully releasing on November 22nd, we have Evil West. This recently saw a 2-month delay. This was actually supposed to release coming up in September, but was very recently delayed to November. Now, Evil West is a really interesting title that sees a sort of supernatural Wild West setting, which is especially interesting given that we've actually seen a lot of supernatural Wild West games recently. Naturally, they all have West in the title, which is kind of funny, but just this year we've seen Weird West, Hard West 2, and Blood West. But nonetheless, in spite of the several games that have released in this genre, it's still just a very interesting setting, and all of these games have managed to be a little different. In the case of Evil West, this is actually a more third-person shooter action RPG, whereas the previous games have basically been isometric or very niche. So, truth be told, I think Evil West might have just a broader appeal in general, and I'm very curious to see what Flying Wild Hog Studio can do with this thing. And I must confess, I'm a sucker for vampires and werewolves, so we'll see what they can do. Third on our list is our game without a hard release date, and this is Pentiment. This is the upcoming historical narrative game from Obsidian. Now, again, this does not have a hard release date, but they are shooting for November of this year. Overall, I like narrative games. They are essentially visual novels, choose-your-own-adventure style games where it's kind of just like reading a book in many cases, and that's fully what I'm expecting from Pentiment. There's a mystery that you're kind of aiming to solve, and it's more about the decisions and the storytelling than the proper gameplay experience that a lot of people might be accustomed to. Now, that said, I've covered a lot of these type of games on the channel, actually, as, of course, I'm someone who really appreciates a good narrative. Now, Pentiment itself looks to be a passion project, in my opinion. It seems that it's a game somebody just really wanted to make, and Obsidian's letting them do it, and I think that someone is Josh Sawyer, as if you follow the guy on Twitter, he posts a ton of historical type of stuff, so I'm thinking this is just a passion project of his, and while I don't expect this to be a huge release by any means, my interest is piqued, as this is the kind of game that I've been known to play a lot of. And you couple that with, again, Obsidian Studios, which is known for great RPGs, and Josh Sawyer as well, who is also known to be involved in some of my personal favorite games, and I'm willing to give Pentiment a very healthy shot. So that brings us to number 4 on our list, and that is High on Life. This game actually also recently saw a delay, and curiously enough, this game is coming to PC, which is mostly what I play, but it's only looking like it's coming through Xbox Game Pass or, Windows. It does not look like you can find this game on Steam, which is interesting, because I've looked for it on Steam and I can't find it. So, curious situation. Usually if something's on PC, you can almost always find it on Steam unless it's exceptionally old. But nonetheless, High on Life looks to be a first-person shooter. However, it's sort of nonsensical and based on humor. Apparently some alien race has turned human beings into like drugs, and you have to sort that out. The people involved with Rick and Morty are heavily involved in this game, is my understanding. So overall, I'm just expecting this to be a very fun game, as while I do love a really deep, time-consuming RPG, and I love good narratives. If you've watched the channel a lot, you might also realize that I also just love dumb, fun games, and High on Life looks to be exactly that. Right now, this game is slated for December 12th after its recent delay, and hopefully it does not get delayed further, as I'm looking forward to this one quite a bit. It looks like it's just a fun experience. And then last but not least on our list, we have a title that I think will surprise people for me, and that is the Callisto Protocol. Definitely not the type of game that I'm known for playing, but a few things have me very interested in this title in particular. And for starters, it's supposed to be a spiritual successor to Dead Space, which is already interesting enough, but truth be told, the thing that's really pulling me in is that it claims to be aiming for a next-gen horror experience. Now, for starters, I don't play a lot of horror games. Nothing against them, just not something I play a lot of. However, I'm very interested, honestly, in games that are claiming to be next-gen and taking advantage of some of that tech, as truth be told, while that next-gen is kind of here already, we haven't seen a lot of games utilizing its full tech yet, and everything I've seen about the Callisto Protocol overall seems really, really cool. You're going to be playing someone who is trapped on a prison where inmates and people just start turning into monstrous things, and you have to, of course, fight for your life and survive. And overall, it looks really cool. But again, honestly, I'm kind of just wanting to see what they do with the tech and just kind of how that genre has evolved, especially since I personally don't touch much of it, which leaves me excited for a new experience, frankly. But that is all I've got for you guys today. 5 games that are still releasing in 2022 that you can look forward to. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube jazz. But regardless of any of that, truly, just thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. May you wander in wisdom and have an amazing day.